Hey everyone, welcome to the Good News Network. I am Michael Reynolds and I'm here with my good friend and buddy, Chris White. What's happening, Chris?
Uh, it's just a great day. I'm just looking forward to being outside a little bit and spending a little time with my grandson. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but I
I
sure
have heard.
enjoy I
Yeah,
sure enjoy spending time outside with him. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
Well, we are grateful that you're all joining us. Maybe this is your first show, or maybe you've forgotten, but just a reminder of why we're doing the Good News Network that we Chris and I have had a lot of conversations, and we realize that there's a lot of sources of information out there that are not so encouraging and not so great. And so we recognize that we have a lot of good things going on in our own personal life and in the community around us and other things
Yeah.
people are doing. And so we just really wanted to bring a highlight to that and give folks an opportunity to see that and get connected to it as well. So yeah,
And the networking is part of it too, right, Michael? I
totally.
mean, just the idea of, often when I talk to people about the wonderful things that are happening in Sonoma County, and they have no idea. They have no idea that this kind of love is being demonstrated. So
Yeah,
hopefully, people who are doing things are going to see this and say, "Hey, I want to get involved, or I want to connect with that," or yeah, that's the purpose.
totally. Cool. Well, welcome again, everyone. We always like to start the show talking about kind of what's been a highlight in our lives recently. So, Chris, you got something you want to share?
I do. Um, Michael, I'm thankful for texting.
Mm.
And you're saying, what?
Tell me more
Texting?
about that.
Well, and this is why. It's that text you received from an unexpected friend
Mm.
for encouragement and just love and support. And this happened with a colleague of mine from a number of years ago. Just sent a text the other day and hadn't talked to him in a while. And he just said, "I appreciate you, I love you, and I'm thankful that you're being in my life and making it
Mm.
better." And I thought that's the positive, beautiful thing about texting, that you can just encourage somebody so much in just a short amount of time and just letting them know you care
Mm.
about them. And so I challenge our viewers and listeners to think about that encouraging text they might send.
Man, that is an awesome reminder because I think it is those small things that build up over time, right? Like
Hmm.
sometimes I get in my mind of like these grand ideas of how I can do things to show my appreciation, but I agree, man. Sometimes the most encouraging things are just knowing somebody's thinking about me and took the time, even
That's
15
right.
seconds to put together a text and said, "Hey, just thinking about you. Thanks for being you," or something.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Yep.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. How about you, Michael?
Oh man. So I was at a show, a Bob Marley tribute show recently, and it was during the day. So a lot of times this band does them at night, and so it's just all adults. This one happened to be during the day, and it was open to younger kids. And I tell you, it was just so much fun seeing this younger generation just being involved. But the moment that really got me was there was a little girl there, and her mom had the ear protection on her, taking care of her, and but then she picked her up and put her on her shoulder, was dancing with her, and the little girl just like wrapped her hand around her mom's head and was just leaned into her, man. It
Oh,
was just the sweetest thing. I was like, oh my gosh, how cute
beautiful.
is that? That
Hmm.
just what a great thing to, and she was clearly a good mom, she just kept, she would
Hmm.
talk to her and you could just see the love beaming in her eyes for her daughter
Right.
and
Right.
vice versa. So yeah, it's just again those simple moments that are happening all day everywhere that don't get highlighted that I
That's
think,
right.
one of the benefits for me of doing what we're doing here on this show is a reminder to look for those things, right?
That's
To
right.
look for the little things that all add up. So
That's right.
awesome.
Excellent.
Well, um, we are super excited to introduce our guest, Adam Peacocke with Feathervine. He has taken a moment out of his incredibly busy schedule and
Mhm.
the spectrum of amazing stuff that he does across the county to join us here today. So, Adam, if you want to come on in from the virtual green room and join us, we'll start our conversation here. So, hey, there he is. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Good morning, Chris. So
Hey,
good
good
to be with
morning.
you.
You too.
Great to see you. Thank you so much. Again, we know you are one of the busiest human beings we know, and so to have you set aside time to come talk to us really means a lot. So thank you for that.
That's right.
Well, listen, I'm so glad to be here, and yeah, love the vision for this
Mhm.
podcast, and when I need some good news, I know where to go.
That's right.
Yeah, well, thanks for being part of that good news.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Tell us about Feathervine and what are some of the things what's the general idea behind it? What is it? And then we can talk more specific things, projects you've done for the community.
Yeah, so Feathervine's a nonprofit. It's kind of faith-based. It comes out of my background. I was raised in a home where, faith was really important, and pastored in our community, a Christian congregation from 2002 to 2017.
Mm,
Mm,
And during that time, I came to learn and discover so much about our community, both its needs, but also the things that make it so special.
mm,
But often
mhm,
found that there were these barriers to like good people coming together to do good
mhm,
things. And so I'll tell a little bit more about that story. But what I do is Feathervine um, offers resources that helps local congregations and faith-based service organizations become more effective in their community service and outreach
mhm,
and doing good in the community. And especially it helps make possible some of the collaborative things that had not been happening.
mm,
And because sometimes, there's these things that don't happen because either we don't know about them or there's not someone to kind of bring people together
mhm,
to make that good thing happen. So you'll hear a lot of good examples of that, hopefully during our conversation. But basically, I resource faith-based
mm,
organizations in our community to do the good things they want to do, but maybe
mm.
don't have access or don't have information that will let them do that.
That is
wonderful.
beautiful. So I hear that idea came to you. Was there a moment where you kind of saw that, or was it just kind of over time you're like, hey, this is missing? Did you kind of bumped up against it a few times, or how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so there were a few moments, but I think one really poignant one is as leading a congregation, I wanted to do good in the community. I was kind of moved by this question that had been posed to me. Like, if your congregation went away, would
Mm.
anyone in the community notice?
Oh wow.
Mm,
Is there anyone who's actually really
Mm.
um, benefiting so much from the work that you guys are doing that like they'd be sad? There'd be a letter to the editor in the newspaper or reaching out
mhm,
to the city council saying what happened
Wow.
or any type of lament. And so it wasn't so much about justifying our own existence as saying, is there a good work that's happening that people have begun to depend on? And so
Mm.
that question is going on in the back of my head, and
mm,
I'm being provoked by it. And then I'm in this meeting. It's actually kind of a meeting for a nonprofit who's doing some good work into our schools. And I happened to sit next to a city council member. She was the vice member at the time. She went on to be the mayor of our city. Her name's Jane Bender, and I use her name just to kind of honor her influence. And
Mm.
you wonder, okay, if I show up to a meeting, does it really matter if I'm there?
mm,
And in this case, it mattered a lot. And so we're sitting next to each
Mm.
other. She's asking what I do and what I want to do. And I've been paying attention a little bit to our gang problem in the city. It was a big deal
Mhm.
back in this time. This is the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And she just looked at me and she said, Adam, it's kind of tough for a municipality like the city of Santa Rosa to partner with a congregation. There's
Mm.
some barriers there,
mm.
favoritism, all those things. And then
Yep.
she said something that just took me back. She said, it's surprisingly easy for a city like Santa Rosa to partner with 10 congregations.
Mm.
Wow.
The
Mm,
problem is we don't know how to bring 10 congregations together.
mm,
And in that moment, because she was saying, look, if
Hmm.
there's this critical mass in the community, if there's a coalition of different congregations, this kind of background, this reflects something that's really emerging from the community.
mm,
We're not giving favoritism to something. We're recognizing something that wants to happen in our community, and
mm-hmm.
and we're providing a space to allow that good work to take place. And in that moment, something awakened in my heart to say,
Mm.
I think I'm the type of person who could get 10 congregations together to do good. And so this was early, you know, aughts, as they say, maybe
Yeah.
Right.
2005.
Yeah.
And really that began this journey that, created in me these early experiences, these early learning opportunities. Out of that relationship, I helped bring a number of congregations together along with community-based organizations in the city of Santa Rosa to do a gang intervention program that helped
Mm.
people who are wanting to get out of gangs get life skills support and get local businesses who are willing to hire them. It was,
Wow.
it was kind of this, faith and work expression to
Mm.
help people get out of gangs. And that was just the beginning of so many things that ultimately has become Feathervine.
Wow.
Excellent.
You,
Yeah.
you know, you
Mm.
talk about just you never know what's going to happen in a meeting. I mean, I can imagine you attend a lot of meetings and haven't had that experience, and right, like it's just showing up consistently
Yeah.
over time, waiting for those moments to arise. And
Yeah, that's right.
what an insightful comment from Vice Mayor Bender about
Yeah.
the one versus 10. Like, can't do it with one, but we can do it with 10, right? Like, how
Yeah.
Well, I've
Yeah.
cool.
had the opportunity to share this story with groups from around the nation and
Mm.
to see how
Mm,
people light up, to see that understanding. And if I could just take a moment to dig a little deeper, because
please.
really it goes down to this framework of often we have no idea, like the domino effect from listening to a podcast like the Good News.
Mm.
I I went to a meeting. It was a gathering at the time of clergy, and it was a presentation from law enforcement, someone from Santa Rosa Police Department about the gang problem. This was
Hmm.
maybe 5, 6 months before this, fateful meeting that I had
Mm,
where I had this conversation with Jane Bender.
yeah.
And this was really interesting because in this meeting, there was this presentation of the gang problem. Our city at the time had just, made national news because of a riot over a Cinco de
Yikes.
Mayo thing. You may remember this
I,
back in
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
2001, 2, 3, that deal.
Hmm.
And as clergy are hearing about the challenge and the problem, there's this question like, what do you want us to know? What can we do?
Hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
was interesting that the law enforcement officer said, we recognize we can't arrest our way out of this problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We need the community to
Mm,
come to the table. This is a community-wide problem that needs a community-wide response, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then he said this. He said, our biggest challenge right now is the indifference in our community to this issue and the
Mm.
denial that
mm,
our city actually has this gang problem.
Mm.
mhm,
And when he spoke those words, like it cut me to the heart because I recognized that I
Mm.
wasn't just ignorant, I was kind of aware, but I was in that place of indifference. For me, in my faith, it was this element, we have this word like repentance, this turn, this change of heart, this change of thinking, and this sense of, hey, I want to move forward in a different way. And so I owned, hey, I've been feeling indifferent. I haven't cared
Mm.
about this. I have friends I grew up with who I care about
mhm,
who were involved in gangs and I think have been arrested for their
mhm,
gang stuff. Like this touches my life. Why
mhm,
have I not? And then, it wasn't like I'm going to change the world. This isn't that type of story. It was a story of I'm going to begin to pay attention. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
pay attention. I'm going to not be
yeah.
indifferent. I'm going to follow it
Mm-hmm.
in the newspaper. And
Mm,
all of those choices over a number of months led up to the conversation with Jane Bender. It allowed me to have an informed interaction with her.
Mm.
And it allowed me out of that, not only to hear her say, hey, who could bring 10 congregations together, but to not just want to do that, but to be equipped to do that around this issue. I was
Right.
equipped in that moment of opportunity to bring them together and to really partner for good in the community. So you're right. I had no idea that Jane would be at that meeting. I had no idea my life would change from showing up,
Hmm.
but I showed up ready
Yep.
because, like this podcast, I had been confronted with, hey, here's a good thing going on you could be
Mm-hmm.
invited into. Here's a
Mm-hmm.
need we're trying to address. And it, I was called out of just being siloed in my own little life, in my own little
Right.
backyard, framework where I'm trying to do the best I can and create this insulated world in this beautiful place, Sonoma County,
Hmm.
and begin to care a little bit, to begin to recognize that I could do little things, I could form meaningful relationships that might become the domino effect for something really good to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is incredible. As you're
Wow.
talking, I'm thinking how like encouraging, inspiring, and challenging that is.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
also, like, man, be careful when you start to care because it might lead to change in your life, right? Like,
Okay, this is so true.
right.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's but it's
And
but in such a beautiful way, right? I mean, I say it sort of
right.
jokingly, but seriously, like you had no idea when you were just paying attention to
No
what was going
idea.
on around you that you would be sitting here
Yeah.
however many years, 20 years later, basically, and
Yeah.
have an entire different experience with your community and your life, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
How
Man, thank you.
powerful.
And I've, especially in this, most recent couple decades, I'm just blown away at the people we have in this community. I really believe
Hmm.
that there's just so much potential, and we're seeing so many good things, but could see so many more good things as this word gets out. Because I think there's just incredible people here, and it's just this communication, this interaction that will inspire. I will say that whether it's Jane Bender or this police officer who really inspired me, I think that some of our superpowers in this community are things that sometimes we take for granted, which is the willingness to be honest
Hmm.
about what's going on, the willingness to be humble and take the posture of learners, but then also the willingness to engage. And I think those sorts of things create this when we're willing to be honest about what we're facing, to be humble about what we have to learn, but then to come together to just try and start somewhere. That's where some of the most beautiful stories have come from. Those are stories that I know as I'm getting to know each of you, you've been involved with. It's kind of the heart, I think, of
Mm-hmm.
what you bring into this program. And so, anyways, I'm just, I really believe that some of these conversations are going to invite others into this process, and that
Yeah.
when we're talking about good news, we're not talking about like a Disneyland, put a nice veneer
Hmm.
on, our community, but actually saying, you know what, if if we're willing to start where we are, if we're willing to take the posture of learners, if we're willing to just believe that we can make a difference, even if we're starting small, that man, the dominoes are beginning to fall, and
Mm-hmm.
my kids are going to be growing up in a better community,
Mm-hmm.
and my neighbors are going to have a more enriching experience, and even those who are maybe facing some challenging things, those on the margins, are going to have a greater chance to flourish. And that's what Feathervine's all about. And that's what many organizations in this community are trying to do.
Amazing.
That's
Amazing. Thank you.
great.
I have a
Yeah.
ton more to ask, but Chris, I want to give you an opportunity to jump in here. You have some
Yeah.
questions for Adam or comments
Uh,
about what you've heard already?
well, thank you, Michael. Yeah, in full transparency to our listeners and possibly viewers, Adam and I go back a ways and to 2017, and as our listeners will may remember, it was a terrible, destructive time for Santa Rosa with the fires and just literally thousands of homes and structures destroyed, and so it was after that time I worked as a director in a public school system district in the Office of Curriculum and Instruction. And my boss came to me and said, and we were just kind of brainstorming, and what she said was, we're getting all of these phone calls from folks throughout our community wanting to know how can they help, and
Mhm.
how can they help the schools, and how can they help, because we had hundreds of kids lose their homes.
Mhm.
We had faculty lose their homes. Even our school board was affected. And so my boss said, I have an idea. I have a friend. His name is Adam, and I'd like to introduce you to him, because I think the two of you, if you come together, might
Mhm.
be able to build a bridge and a system that might help these people in the community who say, what can we do? What can we do? How can we help? And the school system. So Abbott and I met, and I haven't barely stopped smiling since. I'm just so happy to know and blessed to know Adam. And so anyway, we got together, and we started looking at what was resources were out there, and needs, real huge needs, kids needing basic school supplies because they lost everything, and parents needing basic things for their home, or their rental place, or wherever they were able to land. So we got together, and we just started loving people, and we asked schools, what do you need? And one particular school said, our kids really need resources, and Adam knew connections, and we provided bags, just help bags, safety bags, with just all kinds of things, gift cards, and practical health things, and just things for students. And so we just started doing that, and it's grown into a beautiful thing. And I'm hoping Adam would be willing to talk about that a little bit more. But one question that always came to me after I would tell people about this work we were doing, building bridges with our public schools, is that people would say, "Oh, that's just so great for the schools. That just must be such a," and I would say, "Yes, it is great for the schools. And it's great for the faith-based organizations and nonprofits who want to be connected, who want to serve, who
Yeah.
want to help, who want to show our educators, we appreciate you. We know
Mhm.
the work is tough, but we appreciate you, and we want to help you through this crisis." So it's just it's an incredible thing. So that's a long explanation to hear from Adam again,
Yeah.
in the sense that. Adam, in this work we've been doing since 2017, are there one or two highlights that just make you just smile, or even maybe bring a tear to your eye? A story that where you saw connections with our community through the faith-based and nonprofit organizations, and for our public schools, and bringing those folks together. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. Chris, every time we get a chance to tell our story, it's just so meaningful to me. Obviously, we met during a dark time for our community, but that was a bright moment,
Yes,
when our
yes.
relationships connected there. And to your point, immediately, like there were these needs. Santa Rosa City Schools was trying to open back up, and there was a really important but involved safety process, right? To get the schools open, all the
Mm-hmm.
smoke damage, making sure we weren't sending kids back to unsafe campuses.
Mm-hmm.
But many parents had to go back to work, and
Mhm.
and so, just the generosity of congregations across our city to,
Yeah.
with people who had been trained to work with kids. They do it on a weekend and week out basis. They had the background checks, we had the facility frameworks. And so offering free childcare, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
parents wouldn't have to worry about their kids while they're trying to get back to normal life, open our schools, all of that. It was
Mhm.
beautiful. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that the generosity, like you said, of our faith community to provide these move-in kits. Every single employee of Santa Rosa City Schools who lost their home in a fire got a move-in kit to say, look, we know this isn't where you want to be, but we want to do in a practical way what we can to make it feel a little bit more like home. And it was the little stuff. It was the can opener that I remember a lady said, I don't know how you did this, but the little salt shakers that you put in this move-in kit, they remind me of the ones I had when I was growing up, and it really helped this feel like
Mm,
home for me, right? It's
mm,
practical things. We had congregations that committed to deliver water to every trailer that was in the FEMA park, for our most
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable fire survivors who for 18 months could live in a trailer at the fairgrounds, and their water was coming in through hoses. So early on, they're like, man, it just tastes bad. And we're like, we'll bring you water. And this became just this opportunity for relationship for over 18 months. Every week, there was a knock on the trailer. Would you like some water, for this week? And that was just an excuse, right? How you doing? How can we help you, to share
Yep.
stories, offer prayers, and so there's been so many things over the years, Chris, and you know, just really meaningful moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a tragic situation that touched a family in our community. It made the newspaper. I won't go into the details, just except to say that two kids at one of the elementary schools lost their parents in a single day, and that just sent that whole community, the staff and administration, into reeling. And
Mm-hmm.
you know a pastor who had built this church school partnership. We have over 40 schools in Sonoma County that have a congregation who's decided to
Mm-hmm.
be a partner, just to come alongside and say, we
Wow.
want to help. We want you to know that there's a congregation that wants to stand shoulder to shoulder with you
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that these kids are in a safe school, in a school that feels like it's got community support, that you're getting the resources you need
Mm-hmm.
to see this campus flourish.
Mhm.
And so, the pastor shows up that day, as the school community is privately reeling, and the teacher's like, "Could you just come back and be with us? Could you offer what you bring based on your background, the role you play in our community, just to like be a chaplain for our
Mm-hmm.
staff?" And that highlights, I think, what's really important. Chris, here's the thing. When the fires hit, we knew that we were stepping into a journey that was going to require a lot of resources. You're talking
Mm-hmm.
about tens, hundreds of millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
huge financial need, a huge resource need.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, what 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 has helped our community heal is not the amount of money in our bank account, it's the amount of
Mhm.
equity in our relational accounts.
That's right.
The
That's right.
most important resources in our community, really the depth of the good news we're going to have to talk about. I'm not saying the money, the physical resources are not important.
Mhm.
They are. But the more important resources is the relational equity, the
Mm-hmm.
the most important needs to meet. Sometimes the relationship starts through offering these resources, but honestly, we don't know the needs we're going to have next week, but we know we're more likely to be able to meet them
Mm-hmm.
by relational equity
Mm-hmm.
than by dollars or buildings or whatever it is. And this is what I love about the work that Feathervine gets to do. It's what I celebrate, Chris, about what you and I have been able to do. Is I think the stories that touch our heart the most, they come out of drawing on the depth of this relational
That's
equity.
right.
It may involve some physical resources, because one of the ways that we say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you're not alone. One of the ways that we say we're here to help is by offering those move-in
Mm-hmm.
kits, right? Those move-in kits had a physical value of maybe $200, $300,
Mhm.
$400. But what happened through the relational equity behind those move-in kits was worth a lot more. And it then created a relational connectedness. It created this care, this shared burden that allowed us to keep showing up in different places, right? To do more, allowed people to give back, and this network that says, hey, can we show up here to meet this need? Can we show up here to help this person? And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm thrilled, over the last 7 years, what started out of the fires and meeting needs with the schools has now just, I can't even tell you, out of these 40, 50 congregations. And we didn't know in 2017 that there'd be a tragedy where a student lost their life at Montgomery High
Mm-hmm.
School
Mm-hmm.
5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But what we found is that relational equity that had been building in our community then allowed, you know, a whole community to come around that,
That's
and
right.
and we learned how to meet needs together. We learned how to respectfully put aside different differences in order to come together. And so just story after story, right, comes when we recognize that our, our bank accounts will never match the equity and value that's in our
Mm-mm.
relationships.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I
I'm
go ahead, please.
No, I'm thinking, you mentioned the cost of those moving kits at $300. I think you could have given people $1,000 and it not been as meaningful to them as
This is so
the
true.
connections, right? Like just, and I think I
Mm.
love that, and I think that's exactly what we're focused on doing here is to help people see the ways that they can get connected and
Mm-hmm.
to hear about the things that are happening. Because, I work in behavioral health, and often the narrative is there are no resources. It's like, no, there are a lot of
Mhm.
resources. It's just people are so busy doing what they're doing, they don't,
Right.
there's not enough outreach and engagement and awareness. And so yeah, that relational aspect just, reminds me of a couple of different things. I'll just highlight one of them of, I know there's been tracking of the standard of living in the US over since like the 70s, and it's steadily gone up, right? Like it's not gone up equally, but it's gone up generally for everyone. And yet the reported happiness is almost an inverse curve,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as we're gaining a standard of living and giving up more of our time in our relationships to get more of those things, it's at the cost of our relationships. And so
Mm-hmm.
I love that highlight that you put on that. Um, one other thing you said that just totally stuck with me was a bright moment during a dark time. I think
Mm-hmm.
that is so beautiful because I mean we there's no one who's not touched by something at some point, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
And that sense of hopelessness is the most dangerous thing in the world. And so
Mm-hmm.
for someone to be there and being that bright moment in that dark time is so powerful. And again, working in behavioral health, I mean, is life saving in many instances, right? I've heard many stories of people who are just someone smiling at someone and asking, "Hey, are you okay?" Just made the difference, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
just I can't even imagine how many of those moments that you and Feathervine and all the folks, the many folks who are associated with you, are
It's
those moments that
it's
have happened over the last 20 some years that you've been
Yeah,
doing this work. It's so beautiful. And that to your point that your kids are growing up in a better community
yeah,
because of that, right?
yeah.
Because that's being put out there that the light is getting brighter in those with those bright moments.
Michael,
One other,
I'm wondering
yeah,
if I could just respond to what you're saying with the
please.
story.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, I think this relational equity is built by learning how to be present in one another's
mm-hmm.
lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's this consistent thing. So I think one of the lessons that I've been learning, I talked about this honesty and humility, is that we've wanted to do good for a long time, but haven't always been good at it.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the reasons is that I think we've been drawn into this sense that the best thing we can do is the grand gesture, the shock and awe
right.
framework. And but I don't believe that. I believe
Mm-mm.
the best thing that we can do is learn how to be consistently
Mm,
present in a way
mm,
that builds that relational equity. And there's elementary school in our community. I won't mention it by name.
mhm.
I'll protect the innocent here, but they were identified as one of the neediest schools in our community. This story kind of goes back 6, 8 years, and there's a congregation that was like, "Hey, we've got some money. We want to do this grand gesture, right?" And so they reached out to the mayor, and the mayor connects them with the superintendent of schools, and they're like, "We got this $10,000 that we want to use to." They ended up doing a community garden project at the school and all that, and it was beautiful in its own way. And
Mhm.
they built a community garden, and all that was good, but 6 months later, I don't know that there was a single teacher on staff who could tell you what congregation gave that money. There hadn't been any follow-up visit. There'd been a thank you
Mhm.
card and all of that.
Mhm.
And so to the degree that the community garden was used, there was some benefit there. But now by a year later, uh,
Mm.
that whole project, the luster of it
Yeah.
was lacking. And then a couple years later, we have this approach where we're saying, hey, just be a consistent presence. We don't know the needs that we're going to need to meet, but we know that that relationship is the more important equity to build into. And so another congregation just starts bringing donuts for the teachers every
Mm.
month.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 months, 3 months, this relationship is building, and then pretty soon um, this pastor is recognized, and how you doing today? And I remember he witnessed one day a kid having a behavioral issue in the hallway, and a teacher who's trying to help them out in that framework, and it just touched his heart. He's like, these are the heroes of our community. And so
Mm-hmm.
the next time he came to the school, he came with just a simple $15 Starbucks gift card. And when he saw that teacher, he just said, I know this is nothing, but I just want to say what you did with that student in that hallway was everything. It was so beautiful. And I just have this simple gift of this coffee card, just say you were seen and it matters and thank you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that just starts creating dominoes. And suddenly this teacher is telling the other teachers, and then this pastor becomes known as this source of encouragement. And so when
Mm-hmm.
he shows up, teachers see him walking by the hallway and they're like, hey, please, before you go, can you just come in, share a, share a story with the kids?
Mm.
You know, I know you can't like pray over them, but can you speak a blessing over their lives? Can you tell them they matter? And then suddenly he's like, man, when I show up, it matters. And suddenly this school community is changing. And over, 6 months or a year, the, the donuts and the coffee cart and the other ways they help, they buy pizza, so the parent teacher organization, the parents can just go right from work and still have dinner, and
Mm.
maybe they spend $500, but the impact of $500 in this type of community connection weighed against the $10,000 in the grand gesture, they just don't compare.
Mm.
No.
And so we're seeing this happen. I'll share a story maybe in a moment. I'll let you guys direct the time. This just happened 2 weeks ago, but this is what we're talking about, Michael. This is the
Mhm.
difference. This is what we're saying, that learning how to be consistently present, and frankly, let me tell you where I'm failing. I'm doing
Mm.
all this great stuff, and I'm not, but I'm involved. I'm
Mhm.
highlighting. I'm trying to facilitate this great stuff, and yet
Mhm.
I come home tired sometimes. And for me, the
Mm.
challenge is, Adam, are you doing on your street in your neighborhood
Mhm.
Mm.
the stuff you're trying to promote everywhere? So we all have a chance to learn, and
Yep.
and we
Yeah.
all are doing it right in different places. And
That's right.
so I'm not showing up as a hero, but I am hopefully a humble learner
Mhm.
who's starting to get this, as these stories come back, and they fill my heart and give me a chance to reflect on, well, what really is behind it. It's not necessarily the big thing. It's not really the grand gesture all the time, although those are sometimes needed. It's taking a moment to see that teacher in the hallway do
Mm-hmm.
something good,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and not just be going so fast in your life, hurrying so much that you don't actually reflect on it. And
Yeah.
then he reflects on it and he's grateful. And then
Mm-hmm.
he allows that gratitude to cause him to think, I can't do a lot, but what little thing can I do to let that teacher know, to let that person know they were seen? And
Mhm.
then you just see this ripple effect that's
That's
amazing.
right.
Mm.
Amen.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that idea of consistency over time outweighing a grand gesture, right? I think sometimes visualizations help me, and I think I could go work out for 6 hours once a month,
There you go.
and I'm not going to get in shape as if I do 30 minutes a day, over that month. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not even comparable, right? And I think that is
Mm-hmm.
that is so true, and in some ways they have their own overwhelming value to think of putting something big together, but then like, oh, I got to do this all the time, but it's not, it's not and I think I'm in recovery, and it's changing that mindset from I have to I get to, right? Because
Yeah,
as
yeah.
we're talking about that joy is reciprocal. It's not the recipient of the person receiving act of service that is the only benefiter, that both
That's
people in
right.
that interaction are getting the same boost of serotonin, and anyone observing that is getting that same boost of serotonin. So one
That's
little
right.
That's
act
right.
is literally transforming the
That's
mental
right.
health within a community. So
That's right.
it's
That's
so
right.
beautiful. It's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that, again, it's that willingness to just say, what good thing can I start and sustain? And that's why starting
Mhm.
small is fine.
Mm-hmm.
You
Totally.
know, can I just orient myself to try and look for good news every day, to
Mm-hmm.
notice something good that happened and
Mm-hmm.
what happens there, right? That's a simple thing we can probably sustain,
Yeah.
right? It's that in this case with the story that I told of this one pastor, it's that, hey, I think I can afford, every other week a box of donuts and the 15 or 20 minutes it takes to bring it by, right?
That's
I
right.
can't do a huge thing, but I can sustain that.
That's right.
And so it's okay to start small.
That's right.
And
Yep.
I'm sure there's many people in there who say donuts is not a small thing, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'd be one of those. Okay. So-
Man, this is amazing, Adam. I wish we had 3 hour. We could talk for 3 hours, and I know there'd be more. So
yes.
this is something Chris and I have talked about that we certainly, we will definitely look forward to having you back. And because there's so much more that we could talk about. I know just the little I know about Feathervine and the work that you're doing. I know there's hours
Hmm.
of discussion and um, but thank you so much for taking the time. Is there any one of the things we like to offer people if there's any other good news going on for you personally or anything else that you're seeing in your own life or something you've noticed recently or something you're looking forward to, anything else you'd like to share with our folks?
Hmm.
Yeah, just a couple things. One, personally, I'm just grateful for the way I'm seeing my kids as they're getting older,
Hmm.
way I'm seeing them grow up and where they're at. And it's really cool to see other people in this community, other groups in this community investing in them.
Hmm.
And just recognizing that, you know, I can do a lot as a dad, but I can't do everything.
Yeah.
And to know that they're in a community where others are making those investments where they have their own relational network beyond me. That's awesome. I'm thrilled with that.
Yeah.
Two, I think encouragement is really important. We're recording this in late September, and I'm excited. In October, we're going to have a chance across our community during a
Hmm.
weekend called Faith in Blue to honor those who are first responders and those who are serving in law enforcement agencies. Obviously, no institutional group is perfect, but I really appreciate the philosophy of in my city, Santa Rosa, that they've got kind of a community-based policing framework that they're really looking to promote the good as well as, hopefully protect where it's needed. And so I'm really looking forward to that because
Hmm.
that event is going to be bringing together, I think, 50 different organizations
Oh, wow.
just to say, how do we stand shoulder to shoulder for the good
Hmm.
of our community? How do we keep
Hmm.
people from falling through the cracks? How do we help people feel seen? And how do we honor people who might be putting themselves in harm's way
Hmm.
in order to help others? And so that's something I'm looking forward to. And I
Amen.
do, I want to say that um, you're not going to necessarily understand the what's really at the foundation of Feathervine, and even what helps me and motivates me without just, I'll say again, I was formed in a household of faith, and my faith, my Christian faith, is what's at the root of so much of what I'm doing,
Mhm.
Sure.
and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that there's a great a community of some great Christian congregations
Yep.
and people who encourage me in that. And so, I think that it's hard to know and understand the story and the things that I'm learning, the ways I'm hoping to change without understanding that's the journey that I'm
Yep.
on, and,
Mhm.
Yep.
and as I'm trying to follow Jesus. So
Hmm.
Mhm.
Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm so encouraged because there's I think, in my experience there's so much often. fear, suspicion, animosity between faith community and government on both sides, right? And
Yeah,
so
Hmm.
sure.
for you to be able to step into that and say, hey, I think I can be a part of build, as Chris used the words, building a bridge, right? And
Yeah.
seeing that that's possible is just super encouraging. So thank you again for all the work you're doing in the community.
Yes.
Thank you for obviously
Yes.
coming and sharing that
Hmm.
with our folks. We will greatly look forward to having you back at some point in the future to share more. And most of all, just thank you for being you. I really appreciate
Yes.
you.
Yes. Thank
Well,
you,
it's been
Adam.
such a joy. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Chris.
Awesome.
I just am so impressed with that phrase, relationship equity, and I
Yeah.
think that's something we really need to think about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we, as a society, we want to throw money at things, and that is not the solution. The
Hmm.
solution is literally loving our neighbor.
Hmm.
How do
Yeah.
we love our neighbor? And that
Hmm.
requires relationship. And so I'm so thankful that you brought that up. And, it may sound silly to our listeners, like, what's the big deal if somebody brings to a school a box of donuts? You have no idea how
Hmm.
encouraging and how much love that represents. It exemplifies the idea. It's not the donuts, although I love donuts. I won't pass them up. But it's the relationship building. And
Hmm.
I hope sometime we get to, when you come back on the show, Adam, we get to talk about a phrase you use all the time, moving at the speed of trust, being
Hmm.
very careful and just loving and not trying to, create, have an agenda or anything like that. How can I love you? And how
Hmm.
can I move just fast enough that I'm not scaring you, I'm not creating
Yeah.
doubt or fear in you, but
Yeah.
I love you. And I'm going to accept you the way you are and who you are and what you're doing for our community. And I'm thankful for you.
Right.
And that's a simple thing, but the power of that is just transformative. And I have seen it with my own eyes. And so I'll stop talking, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for your time this morning.
Absolutely. I look forward to being back, and thank you for what you guys are doing with this podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. We look forward to seeing
All
you
right.
next time.
All
Have a
right.
great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
See ya. Well,
Whew.
man,
Wow.
I think we need a mini
Mm.
series on Feathervine with all the stuff they're doing. It's
It's
incredible. I mean, to think that this has been happening for 20 years, and like I said, just thinking of, I mean, just in the however many minutes we heard there, the number of those little moments that we heard the transformation in someone's life of
hmm.
just someone showing up and going, "Hey, I see you," right?
That's right.
I know you need something. What do you need and how can I help? It's so
That's right.
beautiful. And
That's
just
right.
how many of those things have actually filtered into our community and then been passed along, right? That because
Right.
that's often the outcome too, is as I know in my life, I'm much more likely to do that for someone when someone's done that for me recently. And so super
Hmm.
grateful for Adam and the work that he and you, because I know you work with him in this.
It's a I I'm humbled to be just a tiny tiny piece of this. And
Mhm.
sometimes, I think I've even told you, Michael, sometimes when Adam's working on a project and he's looking for people, sometimes all I can do is just call people, say, hey, I wonder if you'd be interested or available to help move this material or
Mhm.
deliver these things to schools or whatever. And that's all I'm doing is I'm that's a small bridge building, but it just means what I'm trying to say is we can all do something. We
Right.
can all, do a little thing that
Mhm.
ends up being part of such a beautiful thing. So, yeah,
Yeah, and to that point, sometimes just sharing the what with others of about something good you saw, that's doing something, right? And
that's
so,
right.
without being totally shamelessly self-promoting, I do want
Yeah,
I do invite you all to share this with your friends, right? Because
that's right.
this is not about Chris and I. This is about the
No,
folks who are coming on here who are talking about their work and um And as we talked about, it is a benefit for our mental health. It is a benefit for our public health, for this information to be out there and for folks to know about this and to get connected to it, whether you're needing a resource or you wanna help contribute to that. So please do share this, and we will put contact information in the show notes so you can get connected to Feathervine and learn more about what they're doing and maybe be of support to a school in your own neighborhood through that. So
That's
yeah,
right, and
what a
it
yeah.
would be good, and we'll put that website on information on this show. But
Mhm.
you know, those who want to even locally support that event for our first responders and supporting them, and just making
Mhm.
sure that they understand how much we appreciate the very difficult work they do every single day for to protect us, to help us, to support us, to love us. So
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Awesome. Well, what's coming up for you, Chris? What are you looking forward to?
Well, Michael, you've inspired me
Uh-oh.
in the sense that I know often for our visual learners of this show, you have props. So I went to the prop room to give you what I'm looking forward to.
There goes the budget. Oh, very
So
nice.
what you
Very
have
nice.
here is a Lego Duplo train that
Okay.
whistles and my grandson and I we're going to build a whole city today, okay,
Whoa.
around this Duplo train. So if you got a free minute today, come by. He's willing to put your favorite
Let's
friends
see. I don't know.
he's able to put your friends inside here and get so whatever you need. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that today.
How fun. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, I have there's a program that I was a part of its development in our agency that supports folks who are navigating a major housing transition.
Mm-hmm.
And we built it with the input of the community. We had no idea how it was going to go, if it was going to
Mm-hmm.
work. We just listened and kind of put this thing together. And turns out, the collective wisdom knows what it's talking about. And so this program has been very successful and has gained some statewide recognition. And so a group
Nice.
group of us are going in a few days down to Southern California to present at a statewide behavioral health conference to share the good news of the outcomes that we've been experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
and the difference it's made in folks' life. And to Adam's point in the conversation we just had, the whole core of the thing, I mean, there's curriculum, there's all sorts of things that are involved, but the core of the whole thing is relationship, showing up
Mm-hmm.
and being present with folks, making ourselves available. So
That's right.
I'm super excited about that. It'll be a nice time. It'll be sort of the pinnacle of my work in this agency, and then that's kind of my exit as well. I'm leaving the
Mm.
agency after that, so this is a really nice way to share time with folks who have been involved in this program, and who have helped not only implement it but make it better and improve, and so that'll be great. And
That's
just to hear the
amazing.
other things, to be down there, and it's a 2 day conference, so to be able to hear the good news
That's
of
right.
of the other things that are happening and all these other programs that we
That's
can
right.
maybe incorporate in what we're doing and bring
Mm-hmm.
back to this community. So
Wonderful. I can't wait to hear
that's
about
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll hear about it, all right.
Okay. Good.
All
Good.
right. Well, thank you all again for joining us. A big thank you to Adam for sharing
Mm.
all the great news of stuff that he and Feathervine and all the folks
Mm-hmm.
in the community who are participating in the numerous things they're doing. And great reminder to keep keep looking for the good things that are happening around us. And
Mm-hmm.
Chris, if you don't see anything good happening, what should we do?
I think you should go out there and do some good. That's
Hey
what I
man,
think.
I like it. That is a great idea.
All right.
All right, thank you all for joining us, and we will
All
look
right.
forward to seeing you next time on the with some more good news.
All right. Bye-bye.